Hey folks, now if you're interested in starting a business from home so you can enjoy the many advantages to that, for example, the increased income and setting your own schedule so that you can experience whatever you want with your time throughout the day, keep listening. Because I'm going to go over how you can do that starting right now, including some proven ways, including a plan that you can use to make money from home right now. These are things that other people are already doing right now and have been doing for years. This stuff is something that you can start with right away, and I'm even going to show you a resource where you can freely access a full plan to doing this. And then also the exact steps that you can take in order to do that. We're going to go over those right here in this video, an overview of those steps, and then I'll show you where you can find the very, very fine details of those as well. Another free resource that I'll share a link with you for. Now the first option that you have available to you is freelancing. This basically just means you're going to sell a skill. And now you, of course, don't have to start with a skill. Indeed, many freelancers do not have a skill when they first start out. This was the case for me the first time I started freelancing when I was 14. I was younger, I didn't have any skills, and I had to teach myself something. But that's why this is such a great option for many people, they find, is that this tends to be easier to start than starting sort of a formal business where you have a product and you have marketing things that you do. It tends to be a lower barrier of entry for freelancing. Basically, at first, you're going to have to choose a skill. Now, the first thing you're going to want to look at when you're doing that is, you might weigh different things like, if there's something you sort of have an affinity for already, it will be easier to learn, things like that. But then you also want to see if it's profitable. And now how you can do that is go check out the website odesk.com and go through some of their web categories. I believe you have to make an account, but it is free. And you can already see thousands of skills people are already being paid for right now on that website. That website is full of thousands of contractors who are already hiring people. And that can just kind of help you get thinking the type of skills you could either learn or even that you may already have and that you could repurpose. And then the next step is how to find clients. Now this is actually can be pretty easy starting out. At first you can just use that same website I talked about, odesk.com. There are more of these. If you have other places that you want to look or more specialized skill, there are these sites where there's already contractors looking for people. They're already posting available gigs that you can do, whether that's a once-off sort of job, doing a freelance gig, or it might be an ongoing position with a company on a freelance contract. It could be any number of things, and these websites are a great way to meet those people. So if you for sure want to use one of these websites starting out, it would help if you head over there and just look at the kind of skills they already have available on there, because then you'll know that it'll be easy for you to find clients using these. Now, of course, that's not your only option. That just tends to be the easiest one for people who want to get started quick. After that, there's other options that you can learn as well. In a moment, I'm going to show you a resource that you can download freely, a free book that you can use that will tell you more about the specific details, the other ways to get clients, as well as more as how you can help choose these skills for yourself. Now, the second option here is if you didn't want to do freelancing, you could start a business. Now, what I mean different from freelancing here is when you're freelancing, you just choose a skill and you market that skill. In the most part, you're just doing it yourself. You're the lone guy. Sometimes there are people who are freelancers who will work together in a company, but it tends to be just you selling a skill and doing things on a by-project basis. When I say starting a business, what I mean is now it's not so much you selling a skill, it's that you have a product that you're selling. Whatever that product might be. It could be, for example, if you wanted to create, some sort of gardening product, sell it to gardeners. If you want, nutritional supplements, you want to sell a nutritional supplement, you can get it formulated at a chemist, and then sell it. There's all sorts of different things that you could do. Books fall into this category. Just about any product you can create that you can sell, you can think of. Now, of course, there are some similarities. In freelancing, essentially your skills is the product, if you wanted to be, very exact about it. But here we're just helping think of it differently, whereas, now we're not talking about you trading a skill for money, we're talking about you creating some sort of product that can sell itself any number of times. Now, of course, there are a number of advantages to starting a business, and then there are a number of disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is it will usually take longer to get started than freelancing in most cases, but on the other hand, you can often scale it much larger. Your product, once you make it, you can sort of multiply it any number of times and sell it. Whereas as a freelancer, there's somewhat of an upper limit on how much you can make, just because there's only so much you can charge for projects. Of course, you can start charging more for projects and things like that, but there's just a lower ceiling on freelancing than there is for this. So you'll have to figure out which one is appropriate for you. If you just want to get started and you want to make a full-time income, just want to get started quickly, freelancing is probably the way you want to go. If you have much higher sort of expectations for how much money you want to make out of it, you might want to start a business. And of course, you could do both. You could start with one and then do the other later. Now here are the things just to keep in mind to give you an overview. I'll show you the specific details of this in just a moment, but the general overview for starting a business, just so you know what you're getting yourself into, you'll need to come up with a product, which we already talked about. A delivery mechanism, what I mean is you're someone to deliver that product. If it's a physical product, you can get a fulfillment center, for example, that will print all the DVDs if it's something on DVD, and then they will mail the DVDs for you. You just send them your orders, and they mail them to your customers. You can do it online, automated via software if you have some sort of online book. You could, if it was a physical product, you might use like Amazon.com. They have a fulfillment center where you pay them a certain fee, and they manage all of your inventory and send it out for you. So there's a lot of these different services, and which one is appropriate is going to depend on the type of product that you have. If it's a physical product or if it's a digital product online, whatever that might be. But that's just important to keep in mind that these are the things you'll have to set up in order to start your business. And now, the next one you're going to look at is conversions. And here what I just mean is something that your possible customers can see that would convince them to become a buyer. This usually would be in the form of a sales letter you might mail in the mail, or it could be a website that has a similar effect. But you'll need conversions in some form. The simplest one today is usually just to use a website because it's cheaper to set up than doing things in print. So that's one thing you have to set up to keep in mind. And the other would be traffic. You have to get some way to get people to your website. Now you notice in the freelancing when we talked about, if you start out with those websites, a lot of this kind of gets automated in a sense by the website because people post jobs and you talk to the jobs. In a way, the traffic thing is sort of handled. The potential clients are already there, freely available to you on those websites. Here, you would have to go sort of out of your way to make sure to bring people to your website so they can see your offer, and then a percent of them would buy. So you can see here where there's a bit more involved in the setup phase. For freelancing, you take the time to learn a skill, or you might already have one. But for the most part, it's going to be quicker to take the time, maybe 2 weeks to a month, to learn a skill and then start freelancing. It's usually going to be quicker than having setting up the business and getting it running and things like that. Freelancing can also take off quicker in many cases as far as the time it would take you to reach a full-time income. It's not always faster, of course. It's going to depend on your background, but in general, most people are going to find it easier unless they have a pre-existing background in running a business. Now, of course, neither one is right. You're going to have to choose which one is correct for you depending on your goals in life. Now, here's another way that you can learn how the sort of details of this stuff. I'll show you in a moment where you can access these. These are two different books, one for freelancing, one for entrepreneurialism. For entrepreneurialism, I simply mean starting a business, what we just talked about a moment ago. And these go into the very deep details, where here I just gave you a quick overview of each plan. These ones are a specific, detailed, step-by-step plan. It tells you to do what each step along the way, sort of an exact checklist of what to do to start your business. Step by step from the beginning if you want to start a business. The same thing for freelancing, and then importantly also a growth plan for each one. So it shows you how to start out with freelancing quickly, and then from there what you need to do to start making a lot of money. This is probably the most important part for either one of these options. For example, for freelancers, it's very common that people get started and you hear them sort of complain that freelancing didn't really work for them. But the problem really just was that they didn't realize what they needed to do to charge more, so they were sort of struggling with it. In reality, there are some things that you can do to make good money at freelancing very quickly. And I shared in this manual my personal experiences, having been a freelancer for a number of years. I originally started freelancing when I was 14 years old, and I've done it for over a decade now before I even got into business. And so I've had a lot of background in this, and I've shared this in here with freelancing. And then now the same thing with the Entrepreneurial Growth Manual. Both my experience with my business ventures and my business ventures, as well as working with clients as a consultant, and the growth plan that you can use to quickly build a business. Because it's not just, the main thing here is these manuals show you how to set it up quickly, make your first profits, but then where to take it from there so you can keep making more and more money. The idea being that you can make more money every month than you did the month before. Now that's a pretty powerful thing if you think about it, to have that kind of power, that kind of plan in your hands. To get started fast, but then be able to keep growing it from there, not just plateau right away after the end of the month. It's very powerful stuff here. This is based on my experience in real-life projects. Now where you can access these is just head to work1099.com and you can sign up to receive these. You'll be able to, there's just a quick survey. It just asks you which one you'd like, and you can download it and it's ready to go. Enjoy.